Good. Just thinking, don't want to miss anything.
So I know you had that, but a really great tweet, and I know I always said to Carlin before getting you on the podcast, as a coach and seeing you work, you're very caring. So when I've seen you in decision meetings, when I've seen other coaches talk about other players, you always talk about the person. Not really as a player first, you kind of deal with them as a person first, and then you go into their playing attributes. And I know you put a really good tweet which was talking about, you spoke to the boys before a training session, just to let them know that you care for them. Can you maybe share some of the words that you gave them and possibly how it was received by the group?
Yeah, it was really important after that happened to the lad at Man City.
How did it affect you? So, young Jeremy Wisten.
Yeah, sad. When you hear that, you just think, wow, what is this boy going through to think that he had no other way out, So I think it was just important. It was important to talk to the boys and just let them know that, because things ain't going well, if things don't go well, that you, it's not just about football. It's about making sure that they can come to you at any time, because I've had a go at them over the last month. Like I do, I always have a go at them. If they're not doing well, they know about it, And then you reflect and you think, well, was you a little bit hard? No, probably not at that time. But on that day, it was just about getting the group in, putting them to one side and say, look, forget football. If there's anything ever, when you feel that you need to talk to somebody, if it's not me, it's somebody else, if it's family, if it's whatever, then it's important that you do that. I care about all of you, and I'm always here. And it was important I've done that before the session. And what was the reception? Some boys, I think they all listened. It was very quiet. They all listened. Some was nodding, as to say, sort of, I like that. Some were looking at the ground, and whatever it was, it didn't matter as long as I said it, and they know that I've said it. That was what was important.
No, I know that incident is hopefully, we don't know what the ins and outs of it was. We don't know, but I think it touched a lot of the footballing community, I suppose, in terms of, a lot of the football community, in terms of people that work at that level. Just listening to what people have said, just hearing what people have said, I'm sure we have our own families, do you know what I mean? And to think about what that young person and was going through before and what their family are going through now, it probably touches you to a certain degree. So you kind of think, do you know what?
I think I've been through a lot in my career, like as a young boy, having knockbacks and setbacks, as a senior player, like playing senior football, at top level. So I know, and I'm not the only one. A lot of not just footballers, people go through this sort of stuff, and it's hard, and you just got to know that it's not. You've got people there that you can talk to. Put it that way,
Do you think I'm sure we're better with it, and like what you said, I don't know if coaches would always do something like that. Do you know what? Do you think young boys are able to do that because of the environment? Do they think, if I do that, I might be showing a sign of weakness
here? Yeah, I think so. And I said it to them on the day as well. I said, look, I'm me doing this shows an element of vulnerability. But if you can do that as a coach to young lads, then hopefully they can think it's okay. Again, it's about BAME coaches being out on the grass as well, if we come back to BAME. And a black lad seeing a black coach on the grass. And he might look and say, I can do that one day. I can aspire to be like that. If we can do it as coaches and be open and say, look, I care about all of you. Like, put football aside. But you have to show that in your actions as well. Words is not enough. You have to show that throughout your whole coaching, throughout your time, throughout the day with them. Otherwise, if it's empty words, then they're not going to believe it anyway.
I know. It's not always easy to do that and allow yourself to be vulnerable in that sort of way.
No, it's not.
But I'm sure sort of if your personality comes through, I think they see it. I think they understand in terms of who are the real ones and who are not the real ones. I think we don't give young people enough credit than they deserve because of like understanding thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
The environment's quite rigid and you kind of have to show a tough exterior to a certain degree to be able to deal with the tough stuff that goes on the pitch. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how this evolves, this situation, and whether or not it changes the environment in that sort of way where coaches are allowed to be more vulnerable, to allow kids to be more vulnerable, so that we can help support them in whichever way.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, so we usually finish up with a little bit of advice. Advice around a young boy entering an academy.
They got to enjoy it. They got to enjoy the game. I think everyone says it.
Yeah.
And it is difficult because they're under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, we got to try to help them to not feel under pressure, but to feel pressure in a way that helps them perform, not to feel pressure in a way that helps them feel like they're inadequate. Okay. You know, so go in, enjoy it, and if you're not there too long, don't worry about it. And if you are there, then just go with the flow. Okay,
excellent. And what advice would you give, or what advice do you give on a general basis? Not talking about all the tech stuff, just talking about general advice around someone coming into the environment and maybe at under 23s level.
It's tough. Coming into an environment under 23s. Do you mean coming in like
they might have come through from 18s up, or they might have just come in off.
Listen, if you've come through
park.
If you've come through the system and you've got into 23s, then it's time to now. You haven't got long left.
Yeah.
It's like 2 years. 2 years if you're lucky. 3 years to really hone your quality as a player, as a person, and to push and not wait for anybody. You know, but it doesn't mean to say be selfish and not be a team player, but it means be focused in what you want to achieve, and that means working hard to become who you want to become as a player and a person over that period of time. If you don't get there after that, at least you can say, you know what, I didn't waste a minute.
Okay, cool, interesting.
And if you're coming in from outside, because we do get players coming in trying to become players, or not become players. That's
coming into
the system.
Yeah, from a grassroots environment, so to speak.
And it's really difficult. I would always say, if you're not playing in non-league football at that age and playing at a level where people are watching you, then get yourself to that level first before trying to come into 23s football, because there's plenty of times you're getting players come in and they're not ready physically, they're not ready psychologically to deal with the intensity of what's been asked of them, and all the other factors that go with it. So make sure you're ready in all four corners.
Okay, so go on.
For any PDP staff, so any staff, piece of advice can go towards any member of staff working in the professional development phase.
It's not about you. It's about the environment that you're in. Try to obviously progress yourself the best you can without it affecting everyone else around you. Because I think there's a lot of times when people are so focused on themselves that they don't care who it affects around them. You know, they just.
I do agree. I do agree with that in terms of environments. I think, again, it comes back down to kind of a culture, really, in regards to coaches, and not just coaches, anyone, sports science, medical, everyone. When you're in that kind of PDP phase, it can kind of sometimes feel like people are just focused on themselves rather than the group or what's going on around. So I do empathise with that.
Don't get me wrong. Have an aim and a target.
Oh, 100%. You want ambitions, you want aspirations.
Yeah, you have to have your aspirations, but it's how you get there. And for me, that's really important.
Agreed. Young coaching. I don't mean young in age. I mean young in coaching years. So they might be 20 and just started to coach and get involved in academy environments, or they might be 45 and just started to coach because of a playing career or came into the coaching environment late. What advice would you give them?
I'll say I talk about both sides of it. I'll say if if you're somebody who's coming into the game as a non-player, then do as much as you can to try to put yourself, try and put yourself in an environment where you're feeling what it's like to be on the pitch. So understand the game technically, tactically, all those things. Watch games, develop all that you can develop in respect of how structures are, how teams work and all that, but try to put yourself in a position where you're understanding where the player is on the pitch and what he might be feeling at that time. And as a player, then don't always assume that, or as an ex-player, don't always assume, this is how I was anyway, don't always assume that you're going to be a good coach. Because there's a massive difference between being a player and being a coach. And if you do the hard work, once you become a player, to become a coach, put all the hard work, all the groundwork in to become a good coach, well then hopefully you become excellent because you've got the background as well to go with it. That'd be my advice.
Cool. Last one, parent. Advice for parents of their child in an academy environment.
Don't be too pushy. It's hard. I know I'm a parent myself, so it's difficult. But think about what you're saying to your kids, because it can be quite detrimental. Don't push them too much. Push them enough, but don't push them too much to the point where you make them feel bad, or you make them feel like they don't want to play. And let them enjoy it, really. Let them enjoy it and let their coaches.
Is that easy? Or is it hard?
It's especially when if you're a coach, I think it's difficult. But when you're a parent, I think you just got to try to let the coaches and the club do the best for your child.
Okay, Riz, thank you. Great stuff. We've always kind of had these chats informally, but it's been great to get it and give everyone a perspective, understanding in terms of both your journey and how that relates to coaching and what the environment looks like, to be honest. I think a big part of this is getting people to understand. There might be people say yes, people say no, but it's just an understanding. So thank you again for coming on. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you both. Been really, really enjoyed it. Great little chat and loved it.
All right, we're done. Oh, jeez, my leg.
What was that, man? You kept me here for 2 hours, man.
What are you doing now? You going back?
I'm going home.
Oh, not a little